What's going on, yo? It's TCG here, back again with another video, and today I have for you deep dive on Purple Luffy. That's right, we covered Sakazuki last week. If you haven't checked that out, go check out the link above my head. We covered Sakazuki, a couple different deck lists, and a bunch of card options for that, and that's what we're going to be doing here today for Purple Luffy. Now, monocolored leaders are a lot less, how do I say this, versatile when it comes to deck building. You know, purple, it has a lot of options, but a couple of them are pretty restrictive on their leaders typing or something like that. When you play a multicolored leader like the Sakazuki leader we covered last week, we have a lot more cards to go over, and theoretically I could have a lot more cards in here to go over for Purple Luffy. But if you've never seen one of these, this is the series that we do where we go and we look at cards that would be pretty good in a deck with this leader. So let's talk about the Purple Luffy just for a second, because this leader is honestly right up there with the Sakazuki leader. It is one of the other like top leaders to come out of OP05. I know there's a lot of really strong ones to come out of OP05, but this one's right there next to Sakazuki. It's a 5,000 power leader, 5 life, it's purple, Straw Hat Crew. Activate main. Once per turn, you may take the top card from your life to your hand. If the amount of Dawn on your field is 0 or 3 or more, you add a Dawn card from your Dawn deck as active. So, theoretically, you just want to ramp really hard and fast with this leader. Being at 5 life, you know, you can take a couple of those life cards to get some extra Dawn, and on turn 4, you're usually dropping 9 or 10 cost cards. It's insanely powerful, and a lot of other decks just can't keep up with that. You know, on turn 3, when they get to drop a 7-drop kid on the field, it's kind of intense and can be very hard to play against. This leader's really, really strong. Like I said, it has a great typing. The effect is just nasty. It's so strong, and I'm really excited to see this new meta flesh out. I know it's probably going to look a little similar to what Japan's meta is. However, I'm excited for it to reach the TCG. So we're about to dive into these cards, but first I want to shout out Dueling Guard. If you haven't heard of Dueling Guard, they are the best TCG accessory company on the market. They make deck boxes, binders, and playmats that are the highest quality you will find with the best designs you will find. I promise you, you should not be looking anywhere else. They make One Piece designs, Naruto designs, Dragon Ball Z designs, whatever anime you can think of, they probably have a design for it, and they are the top tier quality that you are looking for. If you haven't checked them out, make sure to go check out the link in the description below with the code GUMGUMTCG you can use for a discount at checkout. What? You haven't heard of Dueling Guard? Dueling Guard is the best TCG accessory company on the market. They have high quality deck boxes, binders, and playmats made for people who enjoy playing and collecting trading card games in style. They have tons of designs based off of fan favorite animes such as One Piece, Bleach, Full Metal Alchemist, and many more. They hit the ground running earlier this year, making high quality TCG accessories with beautiful designs that have sold out many times. So if you haven't picked up any of their products, make sure to do so before they sell out again. I have a few deck boxes and playmats from them already, and can attest to how they don't cut any corners when it comes to quality, performance, and design. I highly recommend their products and use them every time I play cards. Be sure to check the description below for a link to their site and use code GUMGUMTCG for a discount at checkout. Alright y'all, without further ado, let's just go ahead and start looking at this. So like I said, you can ramp really hard with this leader. So if you go first, that means that on turn 2, you'll be at 3 Dawn, you use leader effect, you'll be on 4, then the next turn you'll be on 6, and then you use leader effect again, you're on 7 Dawn, right? If you go second, same thing, like you'll go second, you'll be on 4 Dawn turn 2, then you'll be at 5 because you use leader effect, and then you'll be on 8 again the next turn after using leader effect again. So turn 3, theoretically, you can drop an 8 cost character on the field. I'm thinking we want to go first with this build so that we can get to 7-drop Kid, and then we can get to 9-drop Kaido. That's a lot of what I see when people are playing this. It's really, really strong. Like I said, just being able to drop these big bombs of characters on your opponent. And yeah, starting things off the bat, we got a big bomb himself, Urashima. 7 cost, 9k, vanilla, 1000 counter, Wano Country. Crazy. Like I said, you can drop this turn 3. Putting a 9,000 power body on the field turn 3 is absolutely absurd. And just being able to beat your opponent down with it, not even having to put Dawn on it for them to have to pitch at least 3 cards out of their hand to counter it, crazy. Next, we got Kyoshiro. I like this because on play, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, you get to draw a card, so it helps keep up that advantage. You know, it's only 5 costs, so you could play this after you get your setup going and then just get a nice draw. And he's a 6k body. You know, he hits into red, purple Luffy. He hits into Whitebeard. He hits 1 Dawn, makes him hit into leaders, making them have to pitch an extra card out their hand. Like it. I like it a lot. Next, we got Kurazumi Orochi. This is just a nice 2K that you could play. The effect isn't so nice. You could theoretically play Smile Fruits or search your deck for a Smile Fruit. I've seen this in Decklists before. It's kind of like the Sentomaru Pacifista thing, where you get to look through your deck for a specific card, and you can technically figure out what cards you have in life. So that's really interesting. I think that it's interesting. You could definitely play the Smile Fruit and then maybe a small Smile Fruit engine. I don't think it's really worth it, though. Like I said, we're wanting to play the big bombs. Next, we got Kurazumi Higurashi, just a two-drop blocker for this deck. Honestly, there's not too many to choose from for purple, but I do think this is a good option if you're wanting to play a blocker. Sasaki, this is actually a good 2K. Dawn 1 when attacking, trash a card, and ramp a Dawn. Pretty decent. You know, you can play this turn 2 and just use it turn 3, and you'll be even higher on Dawn. Next, we got Jack. I like this card because it makes your opponent hand rip, makes them trash a card out of their hand. So it's pretty good. I like that. You can drop this turn 2, and you're hitting with it turn 3, making your opponent already go minus on hand advantage is pretty good. Next, we got Apu. Like I said, with your leader effect, you can drop this turn 2. Putting a 6k body on the field turn 2 is pretty damn strong. We also got Basil Hawkins that you could play turn 2 and ramp an extra Dawn. On play just adds a Dawn rested. So turn 2, you'd be ending the turn with 5 Dawn, going into 7 the next turn, and then you can go leader effect again and be at 8 on your 3rd turn. Kind of crazy. Next, we got Babanuki, 5/7. Like I said, you go second. You can drop this on your 2nd turn. Pretty good. We got X-Drake, really strong 2K for purple. It's played in almost every purple list if you're playing a 2K. Just a 5/5 body, 2K counter. Dawn 1 makes your opponent trash a card. Pretty good. Next, we got Douglas Bullet, 5/6. You know, on play, Dawn is -1, rests an opponent's 4 or less. If you have to rest something, I think this is a good option, especially if they put something on the field early that you want to get rid of, like a Searcher or anything really. You can just play this, go Dawn -1, and I mean, you can do that on your 2nd or 3rd turn in this deck pretty easily. Next, we got Burndy World. I put this in here kind of just as a joke because I think it's hilarious, but you could definitely drop this on your field like turn 3 if you play Hawkins turn 2. And it's just really funny. I don't think it's actually great, but I wanted to talk about it because it's funny. Next, we got Magellan. This is actually a serious consideration if you're going to play purple in the next format. You want to play Magellan because it throws your opponents off curve really bad, and doing that might not seem that big, like, oh, they're just behind on 1 Dawn. Yes, but a lot of decks have a very specific curve that they try to go for, and if you could take them off that, it's just devastating, especially the mirror match. You know, like, your opponent does this effect, gets that extra Dawn, then you're just like, okay, Magellan, and then that extra Dawn they just got is basically gone, and they took a life card. So Magellan's really strong, definitely a 4 of in this list if you're playing it very competitively. I put the 8-drop Uta in here just because I think it's also kind of funny. I don't think it's amazing. You can maybe play 1 or 2 copies of it, but the effect only being on play, I think, is the problem with this card. If that effect was like when attacking, I think it'd be a lot better. But yeah, you could get a big boost for all your guys. Khalifa, another really strong 2K, gets you a draw 2, trash 2, or draw 2, trash 1 from your hand when you attack with her. Really, really strong. Definitely like to play her. Polly, this also sees a lot of play because of blockers, and yeah, Sakazuki likes to play Borsalino. You play this and rest their Borsalino. I'm sorry, it doesn't rest the Borsalino. It pops an opponent's character if you have 8 or more Dawn. That's my bad. But most of the time you're playing it to get rid of a blocker or an opponent's problem card, something you don't want to have to deal with. So definitely make sure you have your polys if you're wanting to play purple in set 5. Midsole Sunday, I put this in here as another option in case you don't have Magellans or polys. You get to ramp and draw, just another solid option for your 5 Dawn curve. Usohachi, another just good 2K. You know, you can put this on the field. I don't think you really would be. I like it because it's searchable if you play the when you're at sea you're fighting pirates card, so just a nice 2K there. We got Onami. If you have 10 Dawn on your field, this character gains blocker. It's not bad if you're staying high on Dawn, but this deck does like to go minus Dawn quite a bit, so yeah, it's okay. Orabi, I do like this on play. If you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, you KO an opponent's character 3 or less. Pretty good, you know, not too shabby. Sangoro, you could definitely play this on like your 3rd turn if you're going first. And I mean, 6-8 on the field is pretty big, man. Can't deny it. Next, we got Jinbei, blocker, and then opponent's turn. If your board has 10 Dawn, he gains 1,000 power, so he's a 7K blocker if you have all 10 Dawn. Pretty strong for 5, honestly. I kind of like it. Next, we got Zoro Juro. You definitely want to play this in a Straw Hat build of this if you're wanting to play like Straw Hats or something. I know they play this a lot in Red Purple Luffy. It may not be super necessary in this build, but it can help you ramp so fast. If you have 3 or less life, you add a Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So if you can get to that and you can start attacking with Zoro Juro, I mean, it's every turn. It's just an extra Dawn. Active, too. It's not even rested. Active. That's the crazy part. Next, we got Frenosuke. This is actually a pretty good 2K because if you have 8 or more Dawn on the field, he gets Rush when you put a Dawn on him. So pretty good. Then we got Bone Kichi. This is kind of interesting to me. I don't think it'll see much play, but on play, if your board has 8 or more Dawn, you give 2 opponents' characters power minus 2,000. So it could be helpful for trying to clear a board. Miss Doublefinger, I see this in a lot of lists, honestly. On play, you can trash a card from your hand, and you get to add a Dawn from your Dawn deck rested. And then it also has a trigger to Dawn -1 and play this card, so then you would also get to trigger that effect again. Next, we got a card that is going to be sought after in OP05, the 5-drop Blocker Kid. This card's absolutely broken. Blocker, your turn, once per turn, when a Dawn card from your field is returned to your Dawn deck, you add a Dawn from your Dawn deck active. So once per turn, if you shuffle a Dawn back, you get a new one active. And if you have 2 of these on the field, they both trigger. So it's kind of crazy. If you go Dawn -1 with 2 of these on the field, you get 2 Dawn active. It's really crazy. And this card's really, really strong. Next, we got the Gear 5 10-drop Luffy. I think this is a really funny option. I think it's actually really strong if you play it right. On play, Dawn -10, place all your characters other than this character at the bottom of your deck in any order. Then, after this turn, you take another one. So, that's actually really broken. And then, activate main once per turn. You can pay 1 Dawn to add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So, after you do this, you theoretically could get back up to like 4 or 5 Dawn on the next turn with this in your leader effect. And, yeah, it's usually a game ender if you play it right. Next, we got the 8-drop Kaido promo. This card's actually pretty decent in my opinion. You know, if you can just drop this on curve, you got a 9K body on field, and at the end of your turn, you get a Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So it just kind of helps you supplement that Dawn minus ability that you're using everywhere. Yeah, I like it. Next, we got the 5-cost Uta promo. On play, just adds a Dawn from your Dawn deck rested. Not great, not terrible, but it's there. I think there's better options, but it is an option if you want to play your shiny fancy Uta. Next, we got the 10-cost Monkey D. Luffy Gear 5 promo card. This is just a big vanilla, and you could easily get to this. If you don't want to play this one, you could just play a vanilla one and not have to wipe your field. So you just have a 10K beater. I mean, a 12K beater on the field. Pretty strong. Next is Ulti. Now, this is really strong in combination with Page 1. This is in almost every single competitive build of this deck, just because you can drop it so early, and then you get 2 bodies for the price of 1, basically, a 5K and a 6K. It's really strong. Dawn -1, play a Page 1 with a cost of 4 or less from your hand, and you just drop this one. It's really, really strong if you do this like turn 2. But you got to be good enough to draw the cards. So if you are and you do this turn 2, that's absolutely devastating. Next we got 9-drop Kaido. Crazy card, super strong in this deck because you can usually play him on turn 3 or 4 if you ramp right. Yeah, absolutely insane. Definitely want to play multiple copies of this in your purple Luffy list. Next we got King, just another removal thing. If you need some removal, I think King is a solid option. Yeah. Queen. Purple Luffy is the reason that Queen is like $15 to $20 a copy right now, maybe even more. I'm not sure how much it is, but I know Queen is super expensive right now, and it's because it's one of the best blockers. It's 5-drop 6K blocker on play Dawn -1, draw 2 and trash 1. It's really strong, and if you don't have your Queens, definitely be sure to stick around for one of the other deck lists I'm going to show off, because we are showing off a budget version that does not play too many expensive cards. Next we got Jack, 3 cost 4K, on play trash a card, add a Dawn from your Dawn deck is active. Just another ramp if you need it. We have the page one that we talked about with ulti, just vanilla. Oh, I deleted him. Oops. Next we got Uta, blocker, 4-drop 5K blocker, Dawn -1 on block, rest an opponent's character with the cost of 5 or less. Really strong. It's really strong in the GP Dofi deck, and I think that it could also have a home in this deck, but I think people are just opting for Queen more over Uta, but you could definitely play Uta as well. Guild Tesoro, you know, it's just another one of those cards that pops up into purple decks every now and again. Just gets you, I mean, Dawn -2 to draw 2 cards is crazy when you attack with them, but I think the problem is trying to get him to stick to the board. Most of the time when people see this guy hit the board, he's getting removed. Next we got Shiki, just interesting. I've been seeing this pop up in other purple lists lately, so figured I might as well just throw it in here as well. Douglas Bullet, I feel like we always got to talk about Bullet whenever we talk about purple cards because he's insanely strong in my opinion. I feel like he's just lacking a solid home, and I'm wondering if purple Luffy might be the way to play him, because you could play him really early and he's very strong. Next we got Jean Bart, really strong to ramp as well. This is typically people's ramp option over Miss All Sunday, but if you don't have these and you have Miss All Sundays, you can play those as well. But for 5 Dawn, you just get another Dawn and a beater, so pretty good. Next we got the Blocker Law. Definitely want to play this if you're playing purple Luffy. There's going to be a lot of decks that are having a lot of card advantage in set 5, and being able to control that or make them play around this card is very strong. Next we got Beppo. You definitely see this more in the Law deck, but I thought it was a funny option to throw in here if you need some more ramp. Maybe you have this card and you don't have some other ones that ramp. Yeah, I thought it could be played. And then next we have another necessity that's going to be 7-drop Kid. Just gotta play this in this list if you're playing a competitive build. Absolutely broken card, and yeah, I think this card might get banned one day. It's actually super strong. And next we're going to get into some events. First we got Sheep's Horn, 2 cost, main Dawn -1, rest an opponent's character with the cost of 6 or less. So just lets you rest a big blocker or a big body that you maybe want to attack into and try to get rid of. So yeah, I've been seeing this pop up in some deck lists lately, and I just wanted to include it. Thunder Bagua, great 2 cost event counter. So same with Hell's Judgment. It's just a great counter event for 2 Dawn. The trigger is also pretty good to make your opponent go off curve. But the one that I see more than any of the others is Gum Gum Jet Gatling, because a lot of the times in this list you're playing a bunch of cards that have no counter, and you need to be able to supplement that with a card that could get those cards out your hand to make you survive longer. So if you don't have your Jet Gatlings, make sure to pick those up now while they're still relatively cheap. Next we also got Top Knot. I've seen this in a few lists as well, just as some solid removal. And then we've also got When You're at Sea, You Fight Pirates. This is not played in every list, but I do think I see it I've seen it in a couple lists at least. Just gets you search for a Straw Hat Crew, Kid Pirates, or Heart Pirates type card from the top 3 cards of your deck. Really strong 1 cost event. I feel like they were like, we can't give that a searcher, we can't give that a body, so we have to just make it an event. So that's what we got. Then we got Gamma Knife. this is also mostly played in Law, but I thought that it was at least considerable for this deck. You know, just giving something minus 5k to be able to kill it is pretty good. And then Blast Breath, the classic 1-cost 4k event. So that's going to round out everything we're talking about for, that's going to round out all the cards that I wanted to talk about for Purple Luffy. If there's any that you think I missed, definitely let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe as well. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and if we can hit that by the end of the year, we got 1 month left, I'm going to be giving away 1 box of OP05 to 1 lucky US subscriber. So let's try and hit that goal by the end of the year, so one of you all can get a box of OP05 and maybe play Purple Luffy for yourself. We're going to take a jump right into these deck lists, but I wanted to mention for future deep dives, I've changed the format of how we're doing it. I'm going to be showing 3 deck lists off every time. That's not changing. However, the first deck list is going to be a competitive build, something similar to a topping list, and what you're more likely to see as at a competitive event. Second is going to be more of a budget build, something that if you don't have all these cards and you're still wanting to play this leader, you should be able to build it. And if you don't have the cards, you should still be able to build it without breaking the bank. And then the third list is going to be something a little more goofy, maybe a little bit more fun. So that's going to be the format we're using for deep dives moving forward. And I'm also going to try and cover the budget build in a new series that I'm doing called Budget Builders. If you haven't checked out my Budget Builders Sakazuki deck list, make sure to go check that out. There's a link above my head, but we will be having one on the Monkey D. Luffy list out here in a couple days as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this first competitive deck list. Alrighty, and here we got it. This is pretty standard for what you're going to see from Luffy. You don't really play a searcher. You kind of just play a whole bunch of really strong cards and good cards. Yeah, you ramp really fast, really hard. Turn 2, you can play 4 costs. So typically you're wanting to play Double Finger or Ulti to play Page 1 or Apu as a body. So yeah, and then turn 3, you're dropping your Magellans or your Polys or your Queens or your Kid if you have it, maybe your Law if you can. But yeah, this is typical for a Purple Luffy list. You really just want to ramp hard, get your Kid on the field, get some defense set up and some other bodies set up, as well as your Kaidos to end out the game. Let's just go over it. We got 4 copies of Apu. This could be any 4/6. There was other 4/6s that I didn't include just because I think Apu is goofy and I wanted to include him. But there's a film one, and then I think there's one other one that I'm forgetting about. But yeah, any vanilla 4/6 that you could play for this fits this spot well. It's just kind of which one you want to play. Next, we got 4 copies of X-Drake. Just got to have a 2K. Like I said, this card's really good. Hand rip. Next, we got 4 copies of Magellan. You want to be able to play this in the mirror match on turn 3 and keep your opponent off their Dawn, or play this against other decks too. Yellow doesn't like to be thrown off curve, and I know it'll help against the blue-black Sakazuki deck as well. Next, we got 3 copies of Poly. You got to be able to get rid of some cards if you need to and stick a nice body on the field. Then we got 3 copies of Miss Double Finger. This is just another 2K and another ramp tool if you need it on your turn 2. We also got 4 copies of Kid Blocker. We have to play this because most of the time we're going to be trying to stick that 7-drop Kid on the field, and we don't want to lose that Dawn every turn. So we're going to put this Kid on the field in combination with this one, so we're just getting that Dawn back and we're not even wasting anything. Next, we got 4 copies of Ulti, and I'm also going to say we got 4 copies of Page 1 because we want to find these both in tandem, and if we don't, then we just use the Ultis and Page 1s as counters. But if we open these up in our opening hand, then turn 2, we're dropping Ulti Page 1. It's absolutely crazy. Then we got 3 copies of Rush Kaido. Like I said, this is going to be your bomb, your end of the game closer. By that time, you should have 7-drop Kid on the field, as well as another body or 2, and maybe a blocker. And if you don't, and all you have is 7-drop Kid, sometimes that's all you need is 7-drop Kid, Kaido, and your leader. It can really do some work against some certain slower decks. Then we got 4 copies of Queen. Like I said, this is more of an expensive competitive deck list. If you're wanting to play Purple Luffy, you've probably been preparing for it and picking up all these cards on the way. And if you haven't, then I pray for your wallet because this deck list is not cheap right now. I know that Magellans are not cheap. They're like 10, 15 bucks. I know that if you want the Law and the Kids, those are out of the structure deck, which are like 30 bucks a piece. So that's 60 bucks for Or I think you get 4 of these in one deck. Do you not? I can't remember. Either way, not cheap. Queens are not cheap. Kaidos are rising in price. Polys are a couple bucks. X-Drakes are a couple bucks. The rest you should be able to pick up pretty cheap. But like I said, if you've been wanting to play Luffy competitively, you've been picking up these cards, or you already have all of them, you should not be worried about that. Next, we got 4 copies of Law. Like I mentioned, just got to have this blocker and get rid of some of your opponent's cards, because card advantage is king in the next format. And then we got 4 copies of 7-Drop Kid. This is what you really want to find, so that turn 3 you can drop this and start boosting your leader up. We also got 2 copies of Sheep's Horn, just in case you have to deal with a pesky blocker or something like that. And then we also have 3 copies of Gatling. Yeah, just got to play this card. It's an insanely powerful counter card that gets some of these no counter cards out of your hand, like Magellan, Kid, Kaido, and the likes. So, yeah, this is going to be your competitive list. Like I said, this is what you're going to be seeing. It's very powerful, and if you haven't played against it yet, I pray for you, because it's definitely a very hard matchup to play. But that's enough talking about the competitive list. How about we look at something a little more budget friendly for those of you who haven't been preparing for this, but still want to play Purple Luffy next set, and you don't want to break your wallet. And that's what we got right here, baby. That's right, the budget builders. We got the Luffy leader, of course, and we got a whole bunch of cards that are going to be a lot cheaper than what we were talking about in that last deck list. So let's just start from the top. We got 4 copies of Urashima. This is just your good vanilla body that you're going to drop in place of your 7-Drop Kid. We also got 4 copies of Higurashi, just a nice blocker to put on the field if you need one. Then we also still have that Apu. I know these cards are all from OP01, but they should not be too expensive, and Apu is replaceable by a couple other cards. Higurashi is not really super replaceable, but I don't see any of these being super expensive. Next, we got X-Drake. I know that X-Drake is a couple dollars a piece, maybe $1 or $2, maybe a couple more than that. However, with these budget lists, I try to keep them under like 40, 50 bucks, and this one is definitely hitting under that mark. I think the only thing that's worth really much money in here is going to be your X-Drakes, your Kaidos, your Kings, and your Ultis. And the most expensive one is Kaido. He's like maybe $4 or $5, $6 max. King's like $1, Ulti's $1, X-Drake's $1, at least at the time of recording this video. So, yep, 4 copies of X-Drake, 4 copies of Khalifa, 4 copies of Miss All Sunday. This is going to be your replacement for Magellan. Instead of going Dawn Minus, you're just going to ramp and draw. And then we also have 4 copies of Jinbei. This is your Queen replacement. It is a 5/6 blocker that when you have 10 Dawn, it becomes 7k. So just another nice 5/6 blocker. Then we have 4 copies of Miss Doublefinger. This is to help you ramp a little bit more and keep up them 2k counters. We're playing a lot of 2ks. This is much more of a defensive list because we're going to be putting some big dummies on the field and we want to be able to defend them. So we are playing 16 2ks. Then we also have 3 of the 9-drop Rush Kaido. We have 2 King for some removal. We have 4 Page 1s. We have 3 Gum Gum Jet Gatlings. And then we have 2 Top Knots for some extra removal. Yeah, this is going to be your budget list. And let me know if you have a budget build. I'd love to see it. You could definitely post it in the Discord. If you're not a part of that, definitely be sure to go join it. There's a link down in the description below. But be on the lookout for the Purple Luffy Budget Builders video that I will be dropping in just a couple of days. So you can see this deck in action. But let's go ahead and take a look at something a little more goofy and fun. And that's going to be this list. I threw this together kind of fast with the help of my brother Jimble Jamble. So it might not be perfect, but it's pretty damn funny. This is going to be a straw hat build. And it's going to be revolving around getting to Gear 5 and just trying to wipe the board, turn skip your opponent, and win the game. Let's just go over it. We got Ulti, just try to ramp fast. Basil Hawkins, trying to ramp faster. And then we got X-Drake. We got 4 Usohachi. We got 4 Onami in case we need a blocker. We got 4 Orabi in case we need some removal. We got 4 Sangoro to be able to put on the board like turn 2, turn 3. We got 4 Jinbei, blocker. We got 4 Zoro to put on the board turn 2 and start ramping even harder. We got 4 Frenosuke for another 2k and rush if we need it. We got 3 Gear 5 Luffys. Excuse me. We have 4 Gum Gum Jet Gatlings, just for a couple cards we're playing that have no counter, like the Luffys, the Ultis, the oh, Basil Hawkins does have a counter, but the event. So just in case we need an extra 2K. And then we also have 3 when you're at sea, you fight pirates. This searches through all your Straw Hat cards and can add any of them. It just cannot add these first 3 cards right here. So yeah, this is, like I said, definitely a little bit more funny, a little bit more goofy, just something you can maybe bring to locals and have a good time with. Try to turn skip your opponent and win the game in style. That's what I like. But I'd love to hear what you all have to think. If you like these deck lists, if you like these kind of videos, definitely be sure to give this video a like, comment down below, let me know what you like about them. Go check out some of my other videos. I have a ton of these on my channel, and we're going to be continuing the deep dive series through OP05, covering a couple more of the leaders. And like I said, if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. And if you haven't checked out Dueling Guard yet, what are you doing? In the video, go check out Dueling Guard in the description below and use code GumGumTCG for a discount at checkout. And I will see you all on the next one. Peace.